Republicans so far tell CNN that they are voting, or at least leaning, against the GOP's health care bill. That is supposed to happen tomorrow. So despite that reality, Republicans say they are planning to go through with a vote. What are Democrats doing about it? Let's ask. Joining us is Democratic Congressman Mike Quigley of Illinois. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning. Just want you to know, despite the president's visit, I am still a no.
Good, thank you. I'm glad we got that out of the way, though it's not a surprise. But let's talk about this. President Trump has 24 hours to basically sway 26 Republicans if this vote does indeed happen tomorrow. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I'm hearing the vote's going to happen no matter what, that Speaker Ryan is intending to put the bill on the floor whether he has the votes or not, and let the chips fall where they may. At this point in time, our mission is to let the public know what this bill will do, and hopefully that awareness, that pressure coming from the public will help push moderate Republicans against supporting the measure.
Look, I know that Democrats say that they want to work with Republicans to fix Obamacare, but some of your ideas are non-starters for Republicans. For instance, you want to strengthen the individual mandate. You want to make sure that young, healthy people buy in order to make the money work of Obamacare. But Republicans don't want any mandate. So how is that a willingness to work with Republicans and compromise?
Look, we've always said we've got to find a way to do this. What's interesting is, despite the fact that initially they called this sort of bill socialism, they're now keeping so many of those provisions, allowing you to keep your kids on your insurance till they're 26, right? Eliminating caps, pre-existing conditions. These all cost money. It's still our contention the best way to do this is to modify the subsidies, increase tax incentives to allow people to stay on those programs, to provide options for people who want to stay on those exchanges. The alternative is what the Republican option is, which is a non-starter for us, and that's kicking 24 million people off of care, hurting the poorest Americans and senior citizens at the same time.
Yeah, so how is that common ground? I mean, so where do you find common ground given those two positions?
Well, for the last 7 years, and today is the 7th anniversary of the bill being signed into law, as an appropriator, I can tell you, all the Republicans have done is tried to undermine the bill. They tried to defund it or repeal it 66 times. So where for 7 years has been the effort to try to accommodate any sort of Democratic input on the measure to strengthen this? Medicare Part D, when passed by President Bush, was tweaked 3 times with bipartisan cooperation. There hasn't been a single overture by the Republicans to look at any sort of compromise. I don't know exactly right now what that effort would be. We're telling them publicly what our options would be, but we're not hearing anything in return other than this extreme measure.
Congressman, I want to switch gears because I know that you're part of the Select Committee of Intel, where Director Comey testified this week about the possible connections between the Trump campaign and Russia. There is new reporting this morning. This Ukrainian lawmaker produced what he says are new financial documents that he says are evidence that Paul Manafort, the former chairman of the Trump campaign, was laundering money that he got from the Ukrainian leader Yanukovych through some offshore account in Kyrgyzstan to try to cover up the ties between himself and Putin or Russia. Where does the investigation stand from the FBI looking into all of this?
Well, I think the FBI has to complete their investigations. So does the House and Senate Intel committees. It's just further evidence that this investigation needs full cooperation from the White House, from my Republican colleagues. It's going to need a tremendous amount of resources to complete. As you can see with just this note, this is an investigation that could take place on several continents. You know, I was in Ukraine in 2014 and met this gentleman with a congressional delegation. This is Yanukovych's former chief of staff. He knows a tremendous amount of U.S. involvement with Ukraine and vice versa. These are the kind of people that we need to have testify to explain exactly what took place.
And are you getting full cooperation from the White House and from your Republican colleagues?
Frankly, I expect nothing but obstruction from the White House or distraction from the White House, as we witnessed with the president's statement about wiretapping Trump Tower. I think with cooperation from my Republican colleagues in the House and Senate is possible. They just need to recognize that this is going to take resources, it's going to take subpoena power, and understanding that this is going to take cooperation and involvement across the seas.
So the wiretapping accusation, you believe, was nothing but a distraction from what?
From a bad news cycle, from investigations about Russian involvement in our democratic process. And frankly, if I could speculate, the president was reading something on Breitbart and tweeted about it. And now we have this distraction, this costly, amazing insult on our allies and the intelligence community.
Congressman Mike Quigley, thank you.